What a waste of 15 years. But good news, you don't have to take as long as I did. Because if I could start over, here are the 5 most important steps I would take to improve my video editing skills fast. For context, I've edited over 1,000 videos that range from commercials to live stage visuals, and even social media content racking up over millions of views. These steps made the biggest impact in my career, and I'll even share my favorite way to practice editing between steps 3 and 4. So whether you're a beginner or as experienced as I am, I guarantee that these steps will help you improve much faster than those who don't follow them. Now the first step is often overlooked, and it's to learn the keyboard shortcuts in your editing software. Now for the first 5 years of editing, I only knew like 2 shortcuts. One of them was the razor tool and the other was the selection tool. And they were all I needed to get the job done. But imagine if you're walking from one city to another. I mean, sure, you're gonna get there eventually, but it's much faster to drive or take a train. Now for the first 5 years, I thought that shortcuts would only save me a few seconds, so it's nothing like picking a car over walking. But man, those seconds add up significantly over the course of a project, and even more so over the course of your career. So here's a common scenario that I would run into, and it's trimming a clip and then moving it next to another one. That used to be a 5-step process for me. So first was to switch to the razor tool, then cut the clip, switch back to the selection tool, delete the part that I don't want, and finally drag the clip next to the other one. It takes about like 2 seconds, which seems really fast, but it could just be done in a millisecond with the ripple trim shortcut. So if I was editing a 10-minute Casey Neistat style vlog with around 250 cuts, then I'd save around 8 minutes. And this is only with one shortcut. There are so many other tools and techniques in video editing. I used to be overwhelmed by the number of shortcuts there are, but I don't think that you need to learn all of them overnight. You gotta just start with the tools that you use the most and then incorporate those shortcuts as often as you can. Over time, it just becomes part of you, like it becomes part of your muscle memory. And you won't just see yourself editing faster, but most importantly, you're just gonna start feeling cool because it's like you're hacking into the matrix, like pressing all the keystrokes. And that's what editing is all about, it's feeling cool. Clearly I'm in it for the wrong reasons. Step 2 is to apply new techniques as soon as possible. Now, the famous writer Dale Carnegie said that knowledge isn't power until it is applied. And if your memory is as bad as mine, then it's not gonna matter how useful or cool the tip, trick, or technique is. If you don't use what you learn right away, that knowledge is as good as gone. It's like collecting a bunch of seeds and then never planting them. Like, sure, you got a bunch of seeds, but it's not gonna grow into anything useful without any soil or care. My interest in video editing was fueled by experimenting with a bunch of techniques that I saw in videos, like, cool transitions, lens flares, and of course the classic teal and orange look. But because I had a full-time job, it was pretty tough finding time or energy to apply them to videos for fun. So what I did instead was I always tried to incorporate what I learned into my paid projects. If I learned how to do a cool transition, then I'd use it in the next promo video I made. And if I learned a new motion graphic technique, then I tried to sneak it in as a title card. I realized over time, over the course of my career, I would forget even the simplest techniques with the most impact. So something like adding sound effects, because I just didn't do it often enough. So don't just collect seeds, plant them. Let your knowledge grow into a bunch of skills that will enhance your video editing. Okay, so remember how I said it was pretty tough finding time or energy to apply them to videos for fun. So here's the thing. Not editing for fun was one of the biggest mistakes I made in my career. And it took me around 6 years into my job to actually realize that. Now here's the thing. I enjoyed editing for work, but it always was for someone else. So it meant that I had to compromise. Now, I thought that editing for free was a waste of time, even if it was for fun. But the consequences were that I burnt out, I couldn't improve fast enough, and I lost a sense of identity as an artist. So during the COVID pandemic, work slowed down a lot, and I finally had a chance to catch my breath. I felt so jaded by the job, the industry, and everything, and I had to remind myself why I was even video editing in the first place. To bring my ideas to life. So I began editing small passion projects on Instagram and just trying different styles and techniques, and I realized that this approach made me learn faster than I did before. It made editing way more enjoyable and helped me further develop my own style. So if you're starting out and you're struggling to find work, editing for fun is the best way to build your portfolio because you're working on videos that you want to edit and want to edit more of. But maybe you're faced with the same problem that I had when I first started, which was that I wasn't really into networking, so I didn't know any cinematographers or music composers. I had to use low quality footage and music that I would just rip off YouTube, so every video that I uploaded was paired with one of these. That's why I believe that having a subscription to all-in-one platforms like Artlist is the most powerful tool as video editors, because they have a vast library of cinematic, story-driven footage and high-quality music. You can sort by themes, and even if it's shot on RAW and log, for you to color grade footage from cinema-quality cameras. Okay, let's imagine a situation where a restaurant wants you to edit a promo video for them, and they just want to see your previous work, so they know that you can do the job. But you've only edited anime music videos or montages of magic tricks. That's this guy. All you gotta do is filter by food and drinks, and you've got plenty of amazing options. And their AI-powered search engine lets you search exactly the way you think. I mean, I like this one, so let's download it along with a few shots in the same story. Now, when I think about the most memorable promo videos that I've seen, they always have music that sets the right tone. Luckily, it's never too hard finding my perfect song on Artlist because it has an abundance of curated music by extremely talented artists. Oh, this is the song. Whew. I am happy sending that off as a sample of what I can do, and most importantly, I had fun collecting the footage, the music, and sound effects to cut to. If you use my link, you can get 2 months off on any annual subscription. Thank you, Artlist, for sponsoring this video because I have literally used their assets for every video that I made for the past 4 years. Now, while I was editing more for fun, I wanted to try other genres like editing music videos. Here's the thing, everyone says that there's no money in it unless you're working with the top dogs and you just, I don't know, are really good, I guess. But I thought, hey, it's just for fun, who cares? And somehow, of course, as if the universe heard my thoughts, I just remember one night so clearly, I was just laying on my bed and I was scrolling on Instagram and I see a post for a music video editing competition. And I thought, this is it. This is a great way to practice. So here's what I did. I spent days trying to figure out how to edit a music video for the first time because when I downloaded the footage, there was multiple angles shot in multiple locations, and man, I was just editing it and I remember thinking, this is gonna be hot garbage, like literal dog water. My timeline looked horrendous, and when I saw other people who were submitting their edits, it just made me feel worse. And then at the epitome of me feeling terrible about myself, I took a step back, took a deep breath in, and I reminded myself, I'm not participating to win. I'm doing this so that I can learn and experiment. Because yeah, I saw edits that looked better than mine, but it was also really inspiring to see what other people were doing with the same footage that I had access to. I learned how to edit in a multicam setup for the first time. I color graded red footage for the first time, and I saw it as an opportunity to try new VFX techniques. So as soon as I submitted the video, I already had everything that I wanted out of the experience because I saw myself improve faster in a couple days than I did in a couple years. So I encourage you to enter as many competitions as you can because it's just another great way to access high quality footage and see what others are doing in a more equal footing. Of course, life works in the weirdest way where crazy things happen when you least expect it, because a couple weeks later, I saw that I was tagged in an Instagram post. It was the announcement on who the winners were. And I thought, why am I tagged in this? Obviously I wasn't a winner, but then I checked the winners. There were 3 of them, and I was one of them. And it was a surreal moment because it was obviously a confidence booster, but it also showed that my editing experience could translate to other genres of videos. Which leads me to the final step, and one that I wish I was aware of way sooner, and is to research and try different editing styles. Now, I've always learned that it's better to sharpen your skills in one area and become a master of one. That way you specialize in something and then you have less competition because people are gonna come to you since you are the specialist. But there was one day where I had to edit an interview/documentary style video. And the problem was all my experience, all the years of fast-paced editing did not suit longer form content. So I remember editing it and feeling pretty nervous because it's for a very big company. And when I submitted the cut, the first feedback that I got was that the video felt exhausting to watch because it had no breaks. Because over the course of my career, I developed the habit of cutting out any breathing room to keep things really tight and snippy for high viewing retention. But for a 10-minute video, it's like reading a 100-page sentence with no commas. So what I did next was I quickly binge watched a bunch of interviews and documentaries to see what they were doing differently. And that was how I learned that when you hold on to certain shots a little bit longer, it gives the viewers time to breathe and digest the information. Now, all of my videos feel so much better with these pauses. So when you start combining different techniques from different styles, it gives you a creative edge as an editor. And I believe that combining all 5 steps has been the secret to how you improve fast.